Welcome to the More Life Podcast, where creatives, problem solvers, and entrepreneurs talk about squeezing more out and finding meaning in this crazy thing we call life. Let's dive in. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much, Olivia, for being here as well. Olivia, how are you doing?
I'm doing great today. Yeah.
Yeah, you're enjoying yourself. The weather is good where you're at.
Oh, yeah. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and the weather is different every day, every hour. So you got to pack a jacket because you just don't know if you're going to need it, if you're not going to need it. You never
Yeah,
know. So,
we don't have that problem. We just always bundle up around this year. It's very, very different in the city of Toronto. Okay,
mm,
we had maybe a brief moment in the pre-interview, like just before we pressed the record button, and already I can see that you have so much energy, so much life. Your agency used to be called Let's Go Studio, and now
you're
it's
right.
yeah, and
Yes.
now it's Bold August.
Yep.
Um, Tell us what made. Obviously I can understand the bold part, but what prompted the change into a whole
Yeah.
new design?
I'll give you the short story because definitely there's longer story. But basically, I'm a big proponent of like getting your work trademarked, getting everything legal. And Let's Go is not trademarkable. You cannot trademark the
Oh,
word studio. So they were like, you'd have to trademark Let's Go. And I was like, wait, what? They were like, yeah, studio, you can't include studio. It was this long legal reason to
really?
it. Yeah, and I was finding that it wasn't really sitting. It sounds cute, like let's go, like, and I was like, no, I'm starting to really up level this work. I'm starting to get to a place where I'm not just doing little projects here and there. And then also my last name is August, so I was like, let's just go with bold August, right? Like let's
You're in your
let's
bold
just go
era.
with something. Yeah, in my bold era, definitely. And already got it trademarked. It's the application is under review, so it's going to be all tidied up.
Nobody can come for you. Nobody can try and steal it.
Nobody.
You
I'm the
got it.
only bold August. Yeah, you can find any other type of August, but bold is going to be over here.
Come on, start drafting cease and desist letters now, just in case. I'd love to hear a little bit about how you started. If you have formal education in design work, because I gotta say off the top here, your style is definitely bold. Your
Oh,
design
yeah.
work is very, very punchy, edgy, even. I love it very, very much,
Thank
and
you.
your business model is very unique. So I can't wait to dive into that and kind of hear what some of where these ideas came from. But first, let's just talk about like how did design become important in your life?
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones. I hate to say this. I wish I had like a story that I could like teach others, but I do have a degree in design. I knew all the way from high school that I wanted to be a designer, and honestly, it's all thanks to a single teacher who noticed that I was good at the computer, and she was like, "Let's have you heard of this thing
Name them.
called Photoshop?" Miss Dawn Bone, she knows. She know. I shout her out all the time. I constantly talk to her, and I'm like, "You changed my life." Um, but she noticed that I was getting done with my computer work early, and so she would give me Photoshop tutorials, and then something just clicked, and I just have been a designer ever since. So I went to school for design. I had a corporate job right out of work for like 2 years before I was
Mhm.
like, enough of that, and then I became self-employed past then.
Wow. So you've been doing this now for how many
A
years?
bajillion years. I mean, professionally, probably I guess you would call it since 2012, but like I have no other skills. That's the problem. So don't come to me in the apocalypse. If the apocalypse happens, do not just write me off.
Yeah, I don't think I could work a regular job. I've done other jobs. I've made lattes at Starbucks before. But if it's not in front of a computer with like Figma or Illustrator open, it's going to be harder for me to get
Yep.
engaged. It's going to
Yep.
be that grind every day, just, cursing life in traffic. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the lucky ones like you where I also had lots of opportunities really young
hmm
to have, bro, Photoshop elements, okay,
Yep.
like six or five or something like that. The
hmm
early versions of Photoshop, they weren't even full versions. They were like the
Yep.
you know what I mean, like those bootleg ones, elements, and that got me. I was doing everything in there. I was doing layout design. I was doing like visual art. I was doing anything possible. My poor little computer can barely handle it in 2002. Uh,
So funny. Yep.
but
Yeah,
that's
it
what you
just
need.
goes to show though, like the importance of like I'm not to go to this like side tangent, but the importance of like art in schools and like giving kids opportunities and like, giving us outside stuff. Like imagine had that teacher never done that for me. Like I just don't even know where I'd be. So
Yes, and there's a big I guess shift now because we're now the purveyors of aesthetic, which is now a
mhm.
thing, especially for Gen Zs, where
Mhm.
they appreciate more aesthetically pleasing things or things that are in balance visually, a lot more upfront. Like they know about it earlier, so it's like we're like the grandparents of
Yeah.
this whole thing, where it's like, okay,
Ah,
we've been doing this for a while. I'm older than you. I'm assuming. I don't know your age, but I'm just gonna say that I'm older than you. Uh,
we don't know.
we don't know. I'm an '86 baby. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
I'm 33. I'm a 90s baby. I'm 90, 1990.
1990s. Okay,
Mhm.
uh,
So not too
and
far off.
not
All
too
right.
far off.
Not too
We're
off.
we're both millennials, so
Yeah.
it's,
Mhm.
we're already the grandparents of everything now,
Oh my
as they tell us. So
gosh. I
we
kind of
kind
love
of
that though.
we've seen this progress where it was the haves and the have-nots, where there
Mhm.
was people that had access, that knew about style, that could have a way to communicate it, and those who just did, the mass public didn't. We were just told that Pepsi was good or Coca-Cola was cool, and we didn't know or have any connection between what made it cool, what design or visual interesting made it interesting. So I feel like we've been through a lot.
Yeah, I hadn't
We've
really
seen a
thought about
lot.
it from that perspective, but you're totally right. Like the accessibility of design tools now is giving more people the chance to see what goes behind the scenes in creating designs. Yeah.
So did you thrive in college or university?
I absolutely did. I was a really nerdy high school kid, but college absolutely type A, loved my tasks, was teacher's assistant, like did all of that. I
Oh
loved
boy.
it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we have to talk about the business model, okay? Because I've spent a lot of time on your website.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
so things that you might have just made flippant decisions about, or just like I just need to get
Yeah,
this
you're about to
done.
call him out.
I'm just gonna call them out and nothing bad, of course. I'm impressed because not everybody can have so many things, but also it not feel cluttered or I almost said constipated. That's not the word. Um,
Yeah, I know what you mean
not
though. Like,
cluttered or like hard to understand.
mm-hmm.
It can be very troublesome for a lot of people. But I just want to list off a few things inside your website that you do,
Yeah.
and I'm impressed by, because I'm like, my brain could never offer all these things, but you have it so clearly mapped out, and I want to
Thank
talk about. So
you.
you offer brand and web design,
Mm-hmm.
you Canva services,
Yep.
Canva Tips Weekly, which is a
Mm-hmm.
newsletter,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have your Power Hour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then you have freebies.
Mm-hmm.
You have a course, and you
Yeah.
have a store, a shop,
Yeah.
as well. That's a lot of different services.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of places to have my hands in for sure.
Yeah, and I'm like impressed. I'm like, oh my, this, because as an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur hat of me is like, I want all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I want the newsletter, and I want to make templates, and I want to also do brand strategy, and I want to build websites, but I also, want to do the very packageable power hour and do all these
Mm-hmm.
things. It seems it's a very big challenge for creatives to be organized and to think about all these things, because you also have like the additional things, right? You also have the web audits and the power hours and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the light websites as well. So those are like,
Yeah.
that's like a little back burner. Don't worry about that. Just in
Yeah.
case
Don't
we're
worry
gonna
about
keep
that.
you.
It's on there.
Don't worry about that. We're gonna put you in like a nurture sequence. We'll
Mm-hmm.
get you in a couple emails, and you don't want. Oh, you can't do the big website. We got the light website for you. How
Right.
did this start, and how do you keep your head screwed on tight?
Yeah. It started. I guess where everybody else starts, right? Like you just start throwing spaghetti at the wall, like what's working, what's not working. And honestly, it also starts with I let people tell me what they need. Like, let's be real. If you go back to design school, did you ever imagine you'd be doing like brands and websites? Like, I didn't. I thought I would be doing book design. I was going to be a book designer and like do book covers and cool
Magazine layout
poster.
editor.
Right. We all thought we were like, this is us. We're going to do it. Right. But then those jobs aren't that out there. There's not 10 open magazine editor jobs. So the first person who paid me for a website, I was like, little light bulb goes off, and you're like, oh, that's actually some of those layout skills apply to
Hmm.
websites, right? So I let people just kind of tell me like what they need and like what's going on. And then as that evolved, then I decided like what my boundaries were. And what you might notice is that I actually don't do website only. There's not a package for only website. You either do a brand with me, you do a brand and website with me, or the website light package is more for like returning clients that like come back. So
Got
I
it.
found out like early on that people wanted websites and they were bringing me brands that were horrible. I was like, who designed that? Like, who designed that logo? I don't, you're not giving me enough stuff. Like, you're giving me a logo. What am I supposed to do? So then I was developing a color palette for the website. I was creating graphics and assets for the color palette. And by the end of it, I was like, wait a minute. I just gave them a brand and they didn't pay for it. So now I do branding. I do branded websites. And then the Canva stuff actually started about a year or two ago during the pandemic when everybody's like, okay, we're online, we're learning Canva, we got to have stuff. And I found that nobody was offering that. Nobody was offering like a build out. Like, let me
Yeah.
go in your Canva, let me upload the logos, colors, get you some templates, get you some reels, your workbooks, and your lead magnet, and those sell like hotcakes.
Yeah,
Like
because I saw
people
that on
want them.
your website and some of the stuff that
Mm-hmm.
you post on social media, and in the design community, Canva is a big, like, we do that face whenever, if you're not
Yeah.
watching, I'm making that,
Mm-hmm.
your auntie is unimpressed with what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing right now, and
Mm-hmm.
that type of look where we're like, you're using Canva, oh really, I thought you were a designer. So
Right.
we throw a lot of shade at Canva as
Yeah.
designers, but whether we like it or not, the general public uses it. And this is a
Mm-hmm.
thing where I have this love hate relationship with Canva, where I'm like, this is the most accessible, affordable way for people to manage brand assets and to keep all of those things together. So you saw a need where everyone was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, it's very easy as a designer with a degree to be, frowning upon the use of Canva. You're like, well, how about if I walk towards the point of
Yeah.
contention
Exactly.
and I provide some type of solution to it?
That's exactly what happened. I said, you can't beat them, join them. Like, if you can't, like, that's what it is. Like, y'all are going to use Canva, so let me at least set it up right. Like, let me at least go in there and get you some templates and get you some stuff. Now clients still mess it up constantly. I still see some Instagram posts and I'm like, I don't know how you interpreted that from that, but
Oh man.
you do what you can, and it feels
You
so
can
good to
only do
be
so much.
empowered. Yeah, but it feels so good for people to feel empowered. Like they want to feel like you just handed them something that they can
Mm.
really use, right? And it's the same. That's the reason I use Squarespace. You can knock it, but clients love that they can go update something quickly. They can add a team bio real quick. They can post their own blog posts. Like you got to empower people for them to feel happy and content.
Okay, you're jumping ahead, okay,
Oh,
because I had
sorry.
all these questions. I spent all this time digging
Yeah.
deep
Oh,
because
okay. I.
we can go there. We can go there for a quick minute because you're talking about really important things,
Mhm.
and I wanted to, because there's a design aspect to anyone who runs an
Mhm.
agency or a studio,
Mhm.
whatever you want to call it, and then there is a business aspect to it as well.
Mhm.
And the business aspect is building teams and systems and plans. It's also building culture and intention. And you have lots of culture that I'm noticing, A, in written out on your website, but B, in action and how you operate. So you talk about empowerment, you talk about
Mhm.
helping people, because I see on like your platform, you list like your site credits, you list your that you use subcontractors to help
Mhm.
you deliver, and you don't just list like these are the subcontractors. You give them like a profile
Mhm.
section where it's like, here's who they are. You white label, so there is this as I walk through a door, I'm also leaving the door open for others to walk through it. I'm also trying to elevate and to,
Hmm.
help people who are around me. And there's this whole ecosystem of collaboration. And what seemed like at first was maybe, oh, it, I don't want to be disparaging, but
No, go for it.
sometimes there's a lot of people who are like, I'm a women's first company, and it's women's first for women first sake only, almost like in vanity.
Hmm.
But there's no like real tangible work behind it that actually helps other people that you actually say that you want to help. And then there's stuff that I see on your site and the way that you're behaving by even the site credits. You have the person who cut your hair.
Yep.
Like the curly bob is by like this is absolutely amazing. This
Yeah,
girl
I have
has
a reel
brand
in my
photos.
drafts. I have a reel in my drafts that's like the joke about like calling out my hairstylist because like
Yeah,
it's a thing. I have this like curly bob that is in all my photos. It's in all my things. I don't
it's
do
part of your
that.
brand.
Like it's part of the brand. I'm gonna
It's part of the
gotta add the
brand.
site credit. Gotta credit it. Got to.
The day you show up with straight hair with a straight bob, people are
Oh
gonna
man,
lose their mind.
lose their. I do. I have a series. It's really old. I haven't done it from last year, but every time I straighten my hair, I go on my reels and I act like I'm my evil twin sister, no Olivia, and I like trash things. I'm like, can you believe she wants you guys? And I haven't done it in a while, but I find it hysterical. So,
This is the difference in our age, by the way. As a born in '86 is a hard place because it's like an older millennial. You're in the younger, cool millennial era.
no,
Yeah, yeah. The fact that you
no,
just said I have
no.
a series and that you have
Oh
personas
yeah.
for, I'm like. A older millennial like myself, we could never even comprehend how to start or where to find the voice for it.
I just wild out
We
constantly.
just oh man, but what made me think about what we were just talking about is you said the word Squarespace because I
Mhm.
even have it written down here. Squarespace question mark. Why not WordPress? Why not
Woo.
Show It? Why not Wix? Because I can already tell just by the way you talk and behave online that a lot of these things are not by happenstance, and that there is a little bit of let's get people in command of their own destiny, of their like design and visual aesthetic. Here are the tools that can help you achieve those types of things.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to knock WordPress, though I do love to knock WordPress, but it's not for small businesses. Like, it really isn't. Like, it's really powerful and it has great systems and it has great like functionality. But if you're like my clients who are usually yarn dyers, therapists, other copywriters, small service-based businesses like your coffee shop down the street doesn't need a WordPress. They need a landing page with the hours posted, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Some things are just too big. And then yeah, the empowerment factor. Like my client needs to be able to log in, add a bio and not have to pay me. That's controversial. Like they don't need to come find me and I don't have the time either. Like I don't want to maintain, all of these things. So Squarespace is the solution right now, I believe, for small businesses online.
I'm gonna send you
I know.
my Google Docs. You're literally like you're like hitting every point. Underneath, I use like bullet points. I use
Yeah.
bullet points, and I just say it says Squarespace question mark. Then it says why question mark in brackets. Then the next bullet point says financial benefit question mark. Then it
Oh,
says
that's so
business
great.
model question mark. So you're just like going through every single one
You
for
can
me. I'm
tell
just
this
like,
is not my first rodeo. Not my first rodeo. I got you. I
oh
already know.
man. I love it. I love it because you have all these things that you're using, and they're driving people in a certain direction. It's like
Hmm.
you need, there's like that Dave Ramsey guy, financial freedom. You need design freedom. Like here's
Oh,
your way.
ooh.
Here's your way towards design freedom to kind of help
I-
you be free of that. Yeah, you can have that.
Yeah. I'm
I'm gonna butcher it if I try.
it's too late. I got it. It's done.
Watch me trademark it.
Oh my gosh. I'd be like, "What? Who did?"
That's so funny.
Oh
Um,
god.
okay, let's talk about We could talk about a lot of things. I got a
Oh.
lot of things here we can talk about. I love, as an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur side of me loves systems. I feel like I'm
Mhm.
one of those weird people that, as much as I love design, I still have that side of my brain that just loves building out a system, ideating around that. Um, and I'm interested in your like technology stack and
Yeah.
just seeing like how does that work?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What's going on behind? We need to know, Olivia. We need to know.
Yeah. I'm super tech savvy, and one of my friends called me an
Of course
app
you are. You're
hopper. Yeah. She's like, you're an app hopper. Like, you never use the same thing. I've been through all of the things, and where I landed was Notion. That's where I landed. I landed with Notion. Are you surprised? Are you like, no?
I'm not surprised, but I'm also like I'm also very I know Notion is the
mhm.
destination.
You just got to go on the journey. You
I'm
gotta.
not ready for the journey.
Yeah.
I've been Asana forever. I
Oh yeah, yeah,
love Asana. I was there from
yeah,
the very beginning.
yeah,
2015, I was like one of the first people to sign up. I love Asana.
yeah.
We
I feel that.
just left Asana in December 2023
For ClickUp,
for ClickUp.
you're on the same. I did the same thing. I did the same thing. I was on Asana, and then I was like, okay, I gotta do ClickUp, and I was on ClickUp for like 6 months, and I was like, Notion. That's.
Is this
um,
therapy or a
I know.
podcast?
Let's talk about why you need. I'll tell you what it is, and for me, my brain, we all want to work within tasks, right? We
Mm-hmm.
think that we gotta track our tasks. We gotta track the. I don't work. I'm gonna break your
Self
brain.
worth.
Yeah, I don't work in tasks. I work in concepts and in projects, right? So like let's say I have a client, I'm going to name a client that is not going to care if I talk about her. I have this client, therapist, healing room counseling. And I don't see my projects in a giant list of tasks. I don't. I see it as in web design, her goal, her vibe, the color, the her heart, and like what she's going into it. And yes, there are tasks, and so in Notion they do have projects and tasks. So I'll assign them to. I have a designer that helps me. I have a virtual assistant. I'll assign them stuff, but when I'm in it, I'm writing out client vibes, client notes, a link to the Pinterest board, a link to the Canva, looking at this, putting mood board stuff together. I needed a space that made me feel like my projects were projects and not
Hmm.
just a bunch of things to check off. Because it's nice to check things off, but if we're being real with ourselves, we're not spending every day looking at, okay, what are my tasks today? Now let me do them. You don't do that. You wake
Right.
up and you're like, yeah, I feel like doing a logo today. What logos do I have? Right? Because I'm juggling 3 clients at any given time. And if something's due in a week, I don't wake up and check my task list. I wake up and say, ooh, I had a good idea for that homepage. I'm going to go work on that right now. Let me pull up the client's page. You know what I mean? And the way that Notion has pages that you can make your brain, that's where I ended up.
I know I'm gonna. The reason why I've avoided Notion is because I know it would consume my life. It would become.
Yeah.
It would be like finding your soulmate,
Yeah.
and I feel like I have to go through a bunch of bad breakups first,
Mm-hmm.
and I gotta go
I feel
through.
that.
Yeah, I feel like I have to, or else I won't
Mm-hmm.
appreciate what
Mm-hmm.
Notion is.
Yeah.
I know as a designer or a creative person, the way that I operate my business, I know a lot of the people that work with me probably groaned when I said ClickUp was going to be next.
Mm-hmm.
And
And it
I probably,
was for all of us. And then it
yeah.
wasn't the final. Like, I know. Now, Notion isn't going to be, if you love an automation, if you love a thing to click and the thing to click, and like it's not going to do it for you. It's just not going to do it for you. But if you like having your hands in the pot and you're like, yeah, I'm going to set up this thing. And I have my templates. Like I set up a client template. I have a little button that generates all my tasks and stuff. But then I love being in the Notion portal. I love filling out a little client snippet. I love choosing the little header that goes on their client dashboard. It really helps me think about them as a holistic view. So I know. Now it doesn't keep my head screwed. I'll tell you that much. I think just the nature of creatives is to be a little bit chaotic,
Hmm.
and so the way I keep my head screwed on is just sort of embracing it and trying to build systems that help me lean into the chaos a little bit more, if that makes sense.
I understand leaning into the chaos.
Mm-hmm. You
That's
got
the
to.
You have to, because
Yeah.
that's where the good stuff number one happens,
Mhm.
and in the breath of fresh air that comes afterwards, there is so much clarity that
Mhm.
helps you take the next step, especially in conceptualizing a design,
Mhm.
or helping to give direction. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm also a junkie to all like the plugins and
Mhm.
integrations and
Yep.
everything, and
Yep.
so I'm a hot mess right now where like maybe 12 to 18 months ago I was in like the best time of my life where
Oh.
Asana was so good, and then it
Mhm.
just kept getting more expensive, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
how am I spending, when you
Mhm.
convert it from American to Canadian, I was like $300 a month. Yeah, I'm like, Asana, I
Oh
don't know you
my
like that, girl. Like, what's
golly. I did
yeah.
not know it was that expensive. Now I want to check my I don't actually know how much I'm spending on Notion right now. I gotta like look at it,
I
but
had 7 seats, and they were like 30. When you convert it, it was
mm,
like $39 a person.
mm,
Uh, yeah, it ain't. It
let
wasn't
me
cute.
look. Yeah,
It
I
was
think
definitely not cute.
Notion right now is telling me I'm paying 50 a month, but I have 5 seats. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense to me. I don't know. Feels pretty
That
good.
sounds perfect. That
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah. I got one more tip for you in terms of automation and systems. The other
Mm,
thing I have done that is, you got to do it, is writing email templates and also putting a lot of your FAQs in your documents. So, like, this is my hot tip for designers in my brand PDF. In the PDF that I send to clients, the last 3 pages are information. It's like, hey, you just looked at these logo concepts. Do not share them with 30 people. Here's how to give me feedback. Like, I show people how to give feedback in the PDF. In the
oh, word.
PDF, it
So when you're
says,
doing
here's
your
mm-hmm,
your brand presentation,
mm-hmm.
you're giving them feedback. Okay, 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 okay.
Yep. So I have an Illustrator template, and it's my template that I open it up, and it's got all my little boards that I fill in with the logo designs. And at the end, it's like, hey, you've just viewed this presentation. Here's what's next, and it's all there. So I don't have to type it. I don't have to tell clients. It's just done. Same thing with like my email templates. Like I have like 10 email templates like ready to go, so that if somebody asks me something, I'm like, boop, there's the template. I don't have to sit there and like think about it. And that takes some time to put in
Hmm.
place, but it's so helpful.
How important have being able to write been to you, like when you're thinking of the marketing aspect and like writing captions and emails and systems? And I feel like I
Oh,
write a lot.
that is a good question. That is a good question. Writing is, I'm sorry, it's essential. You gotta write. You gotta write. Think you
If I
gotta.
can go back in time, if I could turn back the hands of time,
Mm-hmm.
I would have spent more time in my 20s learning how to write.
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
writing to sell, marketing,
Mm-hmm.
because it is such a skill. It's everything.
Yeah.
It's the script for your YouTube video. It's what I need
Mm-hmm.
to do for the podcast. It's how we're going to do our captions. It's
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
sales funnel. It's the email. It's
Mm-hmm.
everything you want to do requires good writing.
Yeah.
I tell all the designers that I get into contact with that you need to learn how to write and share ideas. You need to
Mm-hmm.
be able to share thoughts.
Yeah.
Uh,
I agree with that so much so. And people like confuse writing with like creative writing, and that's not what we're saying. Like what we're saying
yeah.
is like write to solve. Like if you had to explain, like, so what I usually think of is if I had to explain like how to do a website to a 5-year-old, like how would you teach them? And that's how you
Right.
write. Like you have to break it down to that bare bones level. I even write all of my like if I do, because I have a TikTok also, and I do like silly
Oh,
humor
I know.
skits. That's a whole other thing. That is a whole other thing. I jot down my notes. Like I have like a notes, you can't see, but like I jot down my scripts so that I'm not just like freestyling it. So I'm just sitting here like, okay, what was I supposed to say next? Like what was the joke? Because
Yeah.
after the 50th take, the joke's gone and all you're
Yeah.
relying on is the copy. Like,
Right. Right. So are you um okay, we can jump here too. What's the content strategy here? Right? There's
oh, great
content
question.
that there's a content that is
Mm-hmm.
just innate for the business. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
we did a really cool I think your latest newsletter you showed, no, it wasn't it was another newsletter, but you showed a some client work
Mm-hmm.
inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
What goes from that, which is stuff that you're normally going to do in
Mm-hmm.
newsletter, and you also have your standardized Canva stuff as
Mm-hmm.
well that you send out
Mm-hmm.
weekly,
Mm-hmm.
versus planning to do things that you know would attract some type of attention.
Yeah, so I think about it in terms of that every single platform is a different personality. I just think about my TikTok vibe, my Instagram vibe, my newsletter vibe, and it's a lot. Let me tell y'all, it is a lot. But
Yeah.
I think about the personality, and I not just the like of the people watching, but kind of, but yeah, like different people are engaging with different types of content, you know? Like my mom's not on TikTok, but my mom is reading my newsletter, you know, and my mom represents like she could be a therapist, like she could be somebody that owns a therapy practice. So she might be reading and like learning about these sorts of things. So I actually pretend that I have different hats. And so like for
Mm.
my newsletter, I put on the like I'm a really smart professional hat. Like my actual running bulldog as newsletter is very much like here's a really important lesson I had to give to you. Here's the portfolio samples that back that up, and that does really well. My TikTok hat is wild, and I mean I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall and like going nuts over there, but it's
Hmm.
because it's for that audience. So
Yeah.
my content strategy has always been to write for the audience and write for who is going to receive the content.
Are you writing all of this like in batch? Not in batch as in, oh, I got to write 5 TikToks today, but are you sitting down and being like, today is my writing day, and I'm just gonna
Mm-hmm.
write for multi purposes, whether it's a YouTube video or a newsletter. I'm just gonna be writing today and get in a writing mode.
Yeah, so, somewhat, but not really. My newsletters I do batch because I usually get in like the zone of like, ooh, okay, so I'll do like 4 newsletters in a row. And I do also batch what I call lifestyle Instagram content. I
Hmm.
have a lot of Instagram content that's like a cool font that I found or a color palette that I think is neat, and all of that I batch. But then all of the hyper creative stuff, like anytime you see a reel or a TikTok, that's usually spur of the moment. Like I get a funny
Mm.
idea and I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if I did this? And then I usually record that like immediately.
It's very hard, at least for me. I'm gonna put this out there. This is a Bart Aniston approved message only. I'm not putting this onto other men. It's hard. The whole hat personality
Mm-hmm.
idea is hard for a straight black man.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of nuance, flexibility, and
Mm-hmm.
spectrum for women
Mm-hmm.
for adding sass or character or
Ooh.
pizzazz.
Yeah.
And when you're a black guy on the internet, there's a certain
Mm-hmm.
trope that funny is,
Mm-hmm.
and there's
Mm-hmm.
everything else is doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I'm always struggling to be like, what's my online persona? I
Mm-hmm.
know I'm funny in real life. Like my friends tell me I'm funny. I know that.
You gotta let that shine. Yeah.
There's no template. I feel like I have to write the
Mm-hmm.
script. I
Yeah.
have to like break that mold because I don't see
Yeah.
other, if they're a black person, especially if they're a male and they're on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram or TikTok, it is
Mm-hmm.
a very, and they're entrepreneurial, it's a
Mm-hmm.
very cool, I'm a suave
Ooh.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's who they are. They they're dressed very well. They smell
Mm-hmm.
really good. You can tell they smell good. They got that cocoa butter in
Yeah.
their locks or whatever it is. You can
Like I can
smell the
smell
shea
them doing
butter.
the
I
thing.
can I can smell
Oh,
the shea butter all the way
stop.
from here. And so I'm like, what? How can I?
Yeah.
There's no quirky black guy who's like an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
creative, and I'm like, I feel like I have to like make this a thing, and like it doesn't
Yeah.
exist. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. I mean, my tip to you, like, first of all, to totally validate that experience. Like, I can't imagine what it's like to be in your shoes and to have all of those, like, things on top of you. But I will also say, your first 10 things, like your first 10 videos, your first 10 attempts, just go ahead and throw them away. Try them, do them, like post them. If you go far back enough in my TikTok and far back enough in my Instagram, you're going to see early days where I'm just figuring things out because you don't learn it until you post it and then you learn from it. Like
Yeah,
you don't learn your own rhythm. And like I'm even working on my comedic timing. I'm working on like when to show up and when people are sick of me. And you don't learn that until you fail. You've got to
it's
fail.
true. True.
you gotta let one thing flop. And like, I hate it when my TikToks flop. Like, I hate it when like something I think is so funny like doesn't make it. But then it makes me go like, why wasn't it funny? Like, why didn't? Okay, could I clip it faster? Can I,
Right.
you know, was the lighting off? Was this off? But so like, just go ahead and just do it. Like, do it. Fail. Like, do the first 10, get them out of your system, and then you'll start to learn from
Yeah,
that.
because the YouTube stuff is so much
Mm-hmm.
easier because it's more like straight ahead marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not funny. There's no character.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I'm
just me
funny on my
being a
YouTube.
guy.
I go for
See,
it.
you go for it even on YouTube on
Mm-hmm.
long form
And
content.
one guy literally in my comments on my YouTube said, "This would be a really good tutorial if it wasn't so full of humor." That was literally a comment I got.
And
And
you're
it's
like,
like,
thank you very much.
yeah, but I'm also like, look, I'm not the first girl doing Canva stuff on YouTube. Go find somebody. Like, the draw is my personality. Like, the draw is that I'm like being kind of quirky and quippy. Like, there's so much content out there. We have everybody else. We don't have you.
Right.
You
Right.
just gotta do, like, you're not the first person to do, here's my Canva template for student. Like, you're not the first person, but you are the first you to do it. So you just gotta embrace. And that guy that commented, honestly, it just turned into a hilarious Instagram post. I was like, okay.
Even more laughs were garnered from this poor
Yeah.
man's soul.
It's so funny. Yeah. I also have like garnered like a little bit of like a persona. Like, my boyfriend and I will go out to dinner and I'll just be chatting, and then he'll ask me like a business question, or somebody will come by, because Atlanta, everybody knows everybody, and they're like, "Hey," and he's like, "You snap into business, Olivia." He's like, "It's like I have my girlfriend, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you have this like persona that comes out." And I think that's good for my mental health and my boundaries. Like, it's like,
Not everyone can have
so
access to the real
yeah.
Olivia.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
private. That's just for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
There's a lot that, yeah, when it comes to like content marketing, I feel like we've
Mm-hmm.
done the spaghetti thing where we've thrown everything at the wall.
Yeah.
We've posted tons. Like, one of the videos I did last year or near the end of the year was, we posted I think like 500 posts on IG
Mm-hmm.
within a year, and here are I showed like
Wow.
the results.
Yeah.
And it's very unique where online you can have, I need to find that second and third audience type,
Mm-hmm.
that how do I
Mm-hmm.
speak to the people that use this platform, because it is
Mm-hmm.
not the same
It's not the same.
as the people on YouTube. YouTube loves me. I love that the people on YouTube comment. You know what I mean? I wish I had more followers.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also one of the comments we get often, like, how do you not have more followers? I'm like, I'm just, it's part of the process. It's whatever. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing this. It's a free. I'm giving this stuff away for
Yeah.
free.
But you
I'm
can't
not
think
paying
about
for.
followers either.
No, like, I'm like, I don't care about the followers. I just care about like getting my repetition and
Mm-hmm.
being,
Mm-hmm.
presenting well, all that kind of stuff. But then
Mm-hmm.
when I go on TikTok, I feel like there's like a blank page above me. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm. What do you want from me? A joke? Like, am I supposed
Yeah.
to do stand up right now?
Yeah.
What's the deal with?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, okay, we're gonna move. We're gonna slowly get our feet wet, because I feel like I'm like super late, and I feel like I do have a side of my personality that I think would bode well with
Mm-hmm.
comedy. But anyways, we're gonna go back now to the tech stack, because we talked about Squarespace. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about what other tool did we talk? Canva. You talked about that
Mm-hmm.
as well. What are you using for email?
Ooh, I mean,
CRM.
my CRM, I use HoneyBook right now.
Mm.
I think the other ones are like Dubsado, and I think that's way too much. Like, I'm a real bare bones kind of girl. Like, I want
I
it
did
to look
Dubsado.
beautiful. I want it to look gorgeous, and I never want to think about it again. Like, I just want it to just. I don't
Yeah.
like all the automations and stuff. Hence why I'm in Notion. So I use HoneyBook right now. I use Flowdesk for my newsletters because, again,
Same.
she's pretty. I'm sorry.
I could
It's
have told that
oh yeah,
you use Flowdesk just by seeing your website. I'd
yeah.
be like,
Just from across the
she
room, you're like, yeah.
clearly heard of Flowdesk, and whatever she was using before that was
Mm-hmm.
dropped immediately. She was like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's for one price. Bye."
Yeah. I'll
And
tell
that
you
was it.
too, another hot tip. Get in on these platforms early, because I got in on Flowdesk like 3 years ago. So I'm grandfathered in to the 19 a month pricing and everyone else has to pay like the 38, get in on these things. It's the same thing. Like my courses right now, I'm moving to Thrivecart because Thrivecart has a lifetime deal. So you pay $500 one
Right.
time. Like, y'all,
How many
get
courses do y'all
in.
have?
I have one live and one that's upcoming.
Mm. And
Mm-hmm.
Thrivecart does courses?
Mm-hmm. Thrivecart Learn, yep.
Wow.
Yeah, but then I'll be moving all my digital products over to Thrivecart as well because it creates more of an ecosystem for people to like browse my products and like browse little things that they can get from me. So,
Yeah, we have a course that we're launching hopefully by summertime.
mm-hmm,
But the big thing is platform. You know, like
mm-hmm.
where can this live and grow with
It's
all the other
it's
resources?
impossible. It's impossible. I've been on all of them. Courses are the one thing I think that is still a hot mess. It's awful. It's awful. I've done Teachable. I've done Squarespace. Honestly, I've
Yeah,
done
Podia.
like Thrivecart. Oh yeah, I mean I've done the gamut. I've done them all. I think they all have problems. I think they're all a mess, and it's like, and now we're all overloaded on courses. So it's like, ugh, like what is the solution for education? And I think we're all about to learn it in the next year or so.
I There's like a course I wrote maybe 2 years ago and never released,
Mm-hmm.
and this new one now. Um, I recorded last year, and we're going to release this year, and I genuinely feel like value is there, but
Mm-hmm.
are people still pulling out their credit cards?
No, they're not. I know they're not, and I'll tell you, like my course, I don't even call it a course. I call it a workbook because it is. It's a workbook I very lovingly designed. So I try to sell the workbook. Like you're buying
Yeah,
a fill in the blank. It's for SEO, so like it's just a fill in the blank. Like you don't
yeah.
have to sit and watch a video. You can. I do have videos, but it's literally just like a workbook you fill in. And I think I'm seeing better results from that just because it's like something people are like, oh, I love a coloring book kind of aspect of it. Like I can print it at home and then
Well, it
interact
feels
with
like
it.
tangible. It feels like
Yeah.
a video I'm
Mm-hmm.
never going to watch. When do I have time for
Yeah.
that? Where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I can actually fill this
Mm-hmm.
out, and then I
Mm-hmm.
have an SEO
Yep.
strategy. I know what my keywords are and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
makes
And the
it
next
different.
course is Canva. And I still sell, I have an older one that is like not archived, but people still buy it. And every person that buys it, I'm like, just to email you, I'm updating this like ASAP, just by the way. But people buy my Canva course because there's not really a lot of Canva education for business owners right now. So that's what I'm hoping to knock out of the park. So
That's amazing. How long did it take you to write a course?
a million years, because by the time it's been the months that you've done it, the platform is updated. Canva's like, we have a new thing. And I'm like, great, let me go re-record those. Like, let me go redo
Yeah.
XYZ, but it takes a really long time, not to even write the course, but to like set it up. Okay, now where's the thumbnails? Now how does it link? Now where does it download? Now what is the workflow email? Like, golly, does it take so long to put it all together? Oy.
So you have, like we talked about, multiple service or streams of income or
Mm-hmm.
anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. Um, are you niching down? Does that help you target the right people that you want to be talking to, or are you still somewhat of a generalist?
I would say that I have two audiences and they don't ever overlap. I know it sounds crazy. They rarely overlap. So my first audience is my bread and butter. That's like brand and website design. They're people that are small businesses and they know they need an online presence. They want my style. They come on. They're big projects. I love them. We're done. I they don't. They're like, great, thank you. I teach them. They move on.
So like six to
My
12 weeks, and I'll see you later.
mm-hmm. Bye. Like sometimes, like I'd say 1 in 4 comes back for like another thing and they want me to update something, but most of them just want a pretty brand and a nice looking website that makes them look reputable. My second audience is my DIY people that just love me. They're like, she's so funny. I want to learn everything. And they do the courses and they watch my reels and they get all my little tiny templates and stuff like that. And I love them. I adore
We
them. I
love them.
cherish them. They don't convert. They don't convert to that bigger person, if you're a person spending $100 on a course, you're not the same person that's going to spend thousands on a website. That's just the truth of it. So I'm gonna be real. This is the realest I can be. Is that all of that stuff is for the love of it? I just love it. I love teaching. I love education. I love teaching Canva. I'm trying to build like a speaking audience. Like, hire me to speak. I'll come to your event and conference. And so that I got one client out of that.
But where would you speak? Just design places? That's why I'm
I
trying to find out your
literally,
niche.
get this. I don't even know my niche. Last year, this woman out of nowhere reaches out to me and she's like, "Hey, I am the president of the United States Mortgage Brokers Association. Will you come to our conference and teach Canva? Make it make sense." I said yes. They flew me out. They flew me out to Vegas. These folks put me on a plane, fly me out to Las Vegas, get my hotel. I stand up there. I'm like, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. And they're like, who is this person? They loved it. They were like, that was great. Everyone loved it. And then I went home. That was
This
it.
sounds
And
like that TikTok trend of like, who the F did I marry? Like the 50
yes.
part.
Oh my God. They were lovely. It was amazing. But like, I'm hoping that's what my YouTube's doing. That's what my stuff is doing. Like, I want more of that. Like, get me that. But like, that didn't convert to leads. Like, nobody was like her for website design, Like, they just
Yeah.
don't. I haven't, my success, I have not been able to
It did
overlap
not
them.
it did not convert to
No,
leads?
not a single lead. No.
How long ago did you do this?
This was last summer. And
Okay.
it was 200 people.
So I spoke at our niche is design. We call it design and build. So it's basically designers, like commercial interior designers or commercial builders,
Mm-hmm.
like real estate developers and builders. I spoke at the what's it called? Interior design show, like in my city,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and nothing happened when it was done. I was like, what happened? 6 months later, all of a sudden, people started reaching out.
Interesting.
So you got
Fascinating.
people, what we realize is you got people in there
Mm-hmm.
who are probably next to the decision maker or the decision maker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're not ready yet, so they don't call,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to waste time. But when they do call, which was for us, was like 6 months later, we had like 3 or 4 people reach out.
Mm-hmm.
They are like, here's my budget, here's what I need. When can you slot me in to whenever you're next available? I want to be your next client. And
Mm-hmm.
all of them behaved the same way, where they were very forward and were not,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want to play any games. They're like, I'm ready to sign. So like they took the information that we did, that we gave a talk on, and then they digested it, and then they kind of went their way, and because they knew that they weren't ready. Whatever had to change in their business, they had to change. And then when
Mm-hmm.
the time came right, they just like reached out. That's why I thought I would ask them like, how long has it been? Because for me, it took a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, that makes sense. I could see where like there's a situation where I hope they all start emailing me now. Like, hey, it's time. And like the holidays get hard and like, it's all that stuff. But I'm gonna email you personally if someone reaches out to me and is like, hey, remember that mortgage brokers conference you did? I'm gonna be like, great, I would love to do your mortgage broker website. Sure. Sounds fun.
So do you find it harder to, let's say, write when you don't have a personality you're writing to that's like solving a
Mm,
problem? Like,
mm-hmm,
because like when you're maybe writing in your email, you're trying to maybe engage with them, lead them towards a sale or a decision. But if you
mm-hmm,
don't know the obstacles that they face, how are
mm-hmm,
you showcasing value? Are you just being as general as possible so that they can see the value
mm-hmm.
in design and marketing?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's as general as possible. I would say it's definitely not e-commerce. Like, I'm not doing e-commerce websites.
Right.
I call it an online presence. Like, if you don't have an online presence, that's what
Got
I
it.
do. Right. So that is, in my mind, somewhat of a niche. Like, that is, you don't exist online very well, and now you are going to exist online very well. So that's not e-commerce. I'm not your e-commerce person. I'm not
No,
going to
no,
do
no.
all that. That's not like your crazy, like, I'm sorry, like, it's not like your coaches that do like lots of funnels and lots of it's not that. It is the mortgage brokers, it is the real estate agents, it's the interior designers. The therapists are a huge client of mine because that's
So
exactly what they need. Yeah.
service providers.
Yep, service providers. Occasionally, I've done like an esthetician's studio, like a
Mm-hmm.
facials place, because a beautiful website that functions well is going to make or break their business. And so that's sort of what
Mm.
I'm teaching is flexible accessibility. And I also, again, I really preach the empowerment Like, if you work with me, I'm gonna teach you how to use your website. You're not gonna be stuck with me. You can be. I'd be glad to help you, but you won't be stuck with me. So I think a lot of people are like, ooh, okay. So if I work with her, she's gonna make it look pretty, and then she's gonna leave me alone.
Yeah.
There's
So
value in that.
there's a lot of people who I call them, for lack of a better term, call them marketing bros. And I'm not saying that they're all male; they could be
Mm-hmm.
female as well. But there's like the marketing bros; they're all male.
Mm-hmm.
But but everything is about like your funnel and growth
Ugh.
hack and whatever. And then there are, because I feel like there to a subsect of people, the term service provider is kind of like, well, I'm not the expert anymore because I'm just a service provider. And
Mm.
it's very unique. I'm just like, where do these connotations
Mm-hmm.
come from and how people perceive it? Because they see like, I'm the expert, so I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to just, if somebody comes to me and says I need a website, I don't want to just say yeah. I got to make them work for it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
here's how I operate. Here's the 5
Mm-hmm.
hoops you have to jump through. Here's the questionnaire you have to fill out, and
Mm-hmm.
this is how we get you the results because I'm the expert. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how long does that work for before people are just like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do homework just
Yeah.
to talk to you.
Yeah. I have a little bit of homework to talk to me, but it's not too much. Like, it's your basic, like, why do you need a website? Like, what you doing?
Mm,
Do you have time to do it? One of my questions is, do you have time to do this website? Because I was getting people that were like, I'm sorry, I don't have time to give you feedback. And I was like, excuse me? Like, why would you, what do
yeah.
you want? So questions like that, but people are busy. Like, they don't need to have all these 8-step things. And just,
Just
here's
so
my
my
rates.
automations will go through something.
Yeah, exactly. I say, please fill out my contact form, and I tell them fill it out because it connects to HoneyBook. That's how you're gonna get me, because then you're gonna get the like trigger. Like, I'm not telling you to fill it out to make you jump through a hoop. I'm telling you to fill it out because it's gonna trigger literally everything under the sun
Yep.
to like get you on my list.
One of my friends, they gave me a really good piece of advice. We added to our onboarding process, and to the
Mm-hmm.
contract, abandonment clause. So
Oh yeah.
if I don't hear
Mm-hmm.
from you after a certain amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
listen, this project is not canceled. It's just now it's on
Yep.
the back
I have the
burner,
same thing.
and it's going to cost you $1,000 to reengage, a re-engagement fee.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, you can't just start and initiate
Yeah.
all these things, because it's not just me. I have 6 other people who are also
Mm-hmm.
part of this
Mm-hmm.
ginormous machine that churns out designs, branding, websites, marketing. So
Mm-hmm.
if you all of a sudden just stop, it's the equivalent of somebody in the mall just stop walking in front of you or on the
Mm-hmm.
highway. It just causes all this friction and tension, and everyone's honking their horn. And
Mm-hmm.
as a young designer, you sometimes you don't know some of these things, and then you start talking to other people, and they give you advice that really like, oh, I've been doing this for like 10 years, and I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
know this
Mm-hmm.
could really save my butt.
I have the same clause because it happens. People might be shaking their heads like, "Who pays?" And then ghosts, and they do it all the time. It's people who
All the
have more
time.
money than time, and they think
Yes.
they can throw money at something to solve it, and then something big happens. Because I build human clauses into my contract as well, and I say, if you're a human, you just need to communicate with me because you're gonna get sick. Like, this project is 6 to 12 weeks because it's a long website and brand build. You're gonna get. I'm sorry, look at there's COVID everywhere. Like, you're gonna get sick. Like, you're gonna get a cold. You're gonna get like in 12 months, unless you have an amazing vitamin regimen. Like, please tell me what it is. But like, you're gonna need a mental health day. You're gonna need some time. So build it
Be
in. Figure it
Yeah.
out. Like,
Yeah. It's very like, the power of contracts and onboarding and
mm-hmm.
systems really took it from just like a freelance gig thing that I was doing into something that I felt was like bigger than just me. And
Mm-hmm.
that was like a really
Yeah.
big step. And having
Oh yeah.
and not just like templated contracts you find on the
Mm-hmm.
internet. Those don't work in your home state or your home province, where like, does that, you know what I mean? Like, are these things reputable? Can it actually be enforced? These
Mm-hmm.
are the things.
Yeah.
Last year was a crazy year in our agency. Everything kind of slowed down in a different and
Mm.
unique way. And for the first time ever, we had to like enforce our contract to make sure that we were getting paid. People were
Mm-hmm.
just like ghosting us, like,
Yeah.
sir,
It was a hard
this
year. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
this is not that. You cannot just
Mm-hmm.
disappear. You
Right.
cannot just leave the country or quote unquote leave the country and
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
expect that I'm not going to come after you and not try
Mm-hmm.
to get what's owed to me because we did do the work. But yeah, everyone I spoke to, every guest of the podcast in 2023 was like, this is different. I don't like this that much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that.
Yeah, it was just one of those years where I don't know. The first half of the year was okay. The second half of the year, I'm like, what's going on here? I feel like I'm being
Mm-hmm.
pranked. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like people that would normally take a week or two to respond to decide to start a project were taking a month and a half, and I'm like,
Mm.
a month and a half? What's that about? I don't understand why everyone's so hesitant. Everyone's
Mm-hmm.
gun shy. I don't know if it was recession, if it was whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're running low on time here, but I have a few more things
Yeah.
I wanted to quickly mention. Um, how do you feel about the splitting of time? Right now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a part-time professor at a college up here. I teach
Mm.
animation, and I also do this. This was the main thing, but then I also added another thing because I'm also a little bit crazy and feel like every moment of my life
Mm-hmm.
I should do as many creative things as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you've seen that you're like, I gotta avoid it because I have 8 different things that are happening in my
Mm-hmm.
own business, or is that something that
Mm-hmm.
you pursue?
I have a secret for you. You ready? I'm
I
only
already,
saying
I,
this. Do you know? Do you know what I'm about to say? Were you trying to get me to say this whole time? Bart, you're killing me. You're killing me.
You want to
You
know what
are
it says on my
killing me.
notes? It says
You were
bivocational entrepreneurship question mark.
stop. So if you're listening an hour, I hope you're not one of my clients because my clients don't know this. But I have a full-time job. I do all of this on top of a full-time job. I have a
Girl,
9 to 5.
girl, you crazy.
I am crazy. And I will give you the scoop on why that happened. And I got divorced last year, and it was very hard.
I'm sorry, and I'm proud of you. Congratulations.
It was my choice. I'm sorry if he's listening. You done did it. You know.
If you're
But I got
listening, you know what you did.
you know what you did. I got divorced, and it was really hard to run a business, and also I lost like that. He was my health insurance. He was my. You're in Canada. Our health insurance is
Mm,
garbage.
hmm.
So that was like, how do I grieve? How do I move? How do I do this new step of life and give myself to my clients? So I took a full time job. I mean, I had people beg, like, Olivia, come be the senior. I was like, sure, whatever. So I took this full time job and just sort of told them, like, hey, I'm taking this because I'm grieving. And they were like, that's fine. Wake up at 10. We don't care. Like, come on, help us create cool designs. And that's great. And it was super flexible. But I love I love Bold August. I adore it. I cherish it. I love being an entrepreneur. And my job knows that I am not there forever. Like that is a great growth place. I'm going to get them
Hmm.
right. I'm going to hire the talent that they need. I'm going to get the systems that they need, and someday I will get to the point where I'm back to just Bold August. But it's a privileged place. Let me just say that it's privileged that I don't have children. Imagine, I don't have children. I have a new boyfriend that's very flexible. I have a lot of energy. Like we said, I'm a millennial, so I'm using this energy right now, but I've got like the goal line in sight. Like I know that my energy is not going to last forever. Like I
Yep.
know I ain't got it.
You could use it when
So,
you got it.
yep. So right now what I'm doing, I'm in this mindset of like, let's use it while I got it. Let's build up a savings so
She's
that
a runner. She's a
never
track star.
Yep. So that never like happens to me again, because divorce is not like it's not cheap. Like you gotta split stuff, you gotta get lawyers, you gotta do all this stuff. So yeah, I took a full-time job. So the way I balance it, because you're like, how do you do like there's not enough hours in a day, and there aren't, is that I'm a hustle. Like I'm gonna work at night, I'm gonna cram in my meetings during the day. I'm gonna outsource. I'm gonna do the thing. And the full time job, they're not gonna care if I say this, but they're not 40. It's no actual job is 40 hours a week. Like as long
No.
as you get your projects done and like do things, like I would say it's like 30 hours and 30 hours.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm working a lot per week, but it's all for the betterment. You're a good researcher. You're a good researcher, because I don't talk about it, and I'm like, I don't want clients to think that I'm not giving them my full attention, because I
Yeah.
am. I really am. I'm
But
I'm
someone
giving
like you
them,
is you're giving your all,
yeah,
literally. I'm giving you everything.
every second. Yep. So it won't last forever, but it's working for me right now. But I am giving my clients, they are my priority. And sometimes with the full-time job, I'm like, oh yeah, I did see that report. Yep, I'm designing that right now. But those deadlines are
That's so
usually a little
funny.
slower. So
Yeah.
I'm impressed with your sleuthing. I'm
Oh, I'm
impressed.
out here. I'm out here in these streets.
You're out here
Uh,
doing it. I mean,
I do have my
got me
my
shook.
assistant.
Mm.
I do have my assistant go through my school emails as well, because I can't do both. Like, I'm in the
Right.
same place,
Mm-hmm.
and as good as, quote unquote, good as
Mm-hmm.
Canadian healthcare is, I don't, as an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur, I don't have health benefits, so
Right.
dental or prescriptions or stuff
Oh,
like that.
wow.
So
Okay.
for adults, for kids until the age of 25, everything is free for them, no matter what they need. Um,
Stop.
I know, except for dental. Dental is like but now there's like a new tax thing where you can get money. You can submit your receipt to get the money back. But as for me as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any health insurance or health benefits. I can go to a
Mm-hmm.
hospital or a doctor or whatever, but if I need
Mm-hmm.
prescriptions or if I
Mm-hmm.
have to go to a dentist or need glasses, I got nothing. So I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. What, I have to teach how many classes to get these benefits?
Right. Right. Right.
Okay, I guess I'm teaching
And
animation.
yeah,
Do I know
sure.
animation like I'm an animator? No. Can I teach animation and I'm teaching semester 3 students? Yes, I am.
That's
Thank
so
you,
great.
Seneca
That's
College.
amazing. That's
You said you're a
amazing.
hustler. Whatever has to
Yeah.
get done
Yeah.
needs to get
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, but it's not, I will say to everybody listening, it is not realistic. Like, do not, I have a special something. It's the right amount of caffeine, because it does burn me out a lot, and it won't be like that forever. And I just take on a smaller client load, really delegate. But it's just what needed to happen in my life. So,
But that's so commendable, because now you start to put a little bit of not that this is like super public, but now there's a bit of context that
hmm
is provided, and you provide parameters and goals
hmm
so that you can afford to say, okay, you know what, in a year and a half,
hmm
I can now do X, Y, and Z, and these things can be in place.
hmm
That's so much more freeing for your
hmm
mind and your mental health, because
yeah,
sometimes what happens is the idea that this is forever could be
hmm
like, you know what, I'm gonna die
hmm
if this is the way it's gonna be forever. But you're like doing the things you're supposed to do, the hard work, you're putting it up front with
hmm
realistic goals, and then you can
hmm
be like, okay, well, I can do this for another year or two.
yeah, I'm building that savings up. I'm saying, like, what if I did take like a month off in between? Like, what if I did, I'm just really trying to be really financially smart, and build some stuff up while kind of keeping my mental health in check. So it's tough out here, but we're making it
Mm-hmm.
work.
So last part of this, because this has been a fantastic. I told you before, it's either going to be 30 minutes or an hour.
I know, I was like, not in. I talk way too much.
Oh man, the personal brand trend that is blowing up
hmm
right now. Everybody
hmm
wants to have a personal brand. Uh,
hmm
and there's an idea of like you have to give up one to do the other.
hmm
You're one of the few people I see that do a really good job of showing your personality, but also
hmm
having your branded stuff all on one,
hmm
especially IG,
hmm
specifically on an IG account. Is that conscious? How do you did you have two separate accounts before, one just personally for yourself and then this? Because again, when you change your, let's say your business name from Let's Go to
hmm
Bold August,
hmm
it wasn't something where it was still like your picture, your face, and both of these things, so it translated.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do have a personal Instagram account. Like, I have one that's locked down. It's for my friends and family only. There's way more cat pictures. There's way more meme stuff. There's more cursing and stuff. Um, as far as like my studio Instagram though, and like how I balance like my face and my business is, I think as much as I want to, like, I really do like showing up, and I also like the humanity that is at play.
Yeah.
Like, I always tell my clients, like, your face is going to do better as your profile icon than your logo. That's just facts. Like, people want to see faces, they want to see it. And I do think that there's a place for people to not show their faces and to be more reserved, but it just means that your tactics are going to need to be a little bit different, and you're going to need to show humanity in a different way. Does that make sense? Like, we're humans doing humans work for humans. Like, you have to show up being a human. And sometimes I just want my community to know stuff. Like, sometimes I'm like, they want to know me. They want to know, like, people want to know, like, where my coffee shops are. I mean, I don't like, here's my location at all times, right? But they want to know, like, what I'm vibing with, or like what my office setup is, and people just like to relate to people. I think
Are
that's
you a
what
book
you were
reader?
asking.
You look like a book reader.
Oh, I definitely am a book reader. Oh, absolutely. I'm up in my office, so I couldn't show you, but I have like one of those like giant like bookshelves that, oh yeah.
God.
Of course I am.
I feel like I've met you like 10 years ago, and we've been friends for a long time. Like, I can tell, like, I'm like, she uses Flowdesk. Yeah.
Yeah.
She reads
Mhm.
books.
That's so funny.
She's reading A Court of Thorns and Roses.
We're just
now.
all.
Yeah.
How did you know? Absolutely. I done did that. I did that
Oh,
last
wow.
year, and now I'm all up in my fantasy game. Oh yeah. You gotta escape somehow. People, let me tell you, people are like, "What design books do you read?" I'm like, "Did you just hear everything I just said?" I don't. When I'm reading, that's me time. That's not.
Facts.
I don't want to know the principles of business model number 5. I want spice. I want fantasy. I want dragons. Like, absolutely not.
I've never been a fantasy person, and this is, I guess, the bonus portion of the podcast.
Yeah, welcome to the bonus portion.
Welcome to the Book Talk podcast, the Book Pod portion of the podcast. I've never been a fantasy person until like Game of Thrones, and then I watched that series, and I was like, that was great. Thank you very much for that. And then I never did anything with fantasy ever again. But there's so many people that talking about this book. I'm like, do I do it? Should I read this book? Am I going to be that person? I'm breaking barriers. I'm like, maybe I'm just going to do it. Because normally my thing is I just read thrillers, because just like you,
I love a thriller.
It's the only, I'm in a co-working space. This is like my co-working office. And I sit next to an author, Amy. Yeah, and she writes thrillers. I was just like, oh, what's her name?
Way.
I'm pulling up real quick. Yeah.
I'd be like, girl, give me the hookup.
So she's bringing me one of all of her books. And she's currently writing a bio. I don't know if I'm
shaking my head.
She's writing a bio for a hockey legend for the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is like, yeah.
Wow.
I'm just like, you're Amy Stewart?
That.
I think it's Amy Stewart.
Wow, I'm obsessed with that. That's what I'm talking about with the humanity. You know, like, the more you put your face into things, like, the more people are going to go, like, oh my gosh, like, I would love to do an author's website. Are you joking? I would lose my mind. Like,
I know. She needs a website, trust me. I'll link you up.
You said it here.
I'll link you up.
You said it here.
There's so many cool things that we've been able to talk about today, and I'm very happy that you were able to spend time with us. Let people know where they can find you, and if you're promoting anything, if they can do something to help engage with you, if you got something real special, go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, well, obviously, as you guys heard, you can find me literally everywhere. Bold August Instagram is probably the best. It's just bold.august.design, and my website, boldaugust.com. The latest and greatest, I don't know when this is going to air, but I'm hoping my Canva course is going to pop out any day. It's a real good one. You actually learn Canva inside of Canva. Like, I have a document that makes you do little exercises in the document. And it also includes a huge bundle, like, as an add-on, where it's all the starter posts. It's all, here's your highlights, here's your Instagram stories, here's your lead magnet, it's all of it. So theoretically, somebody could just pop on, download all the templates, put their brand in, and then they're done. They have all their stuff. So I'm pretty proud of it. It's just right now I'm writing all the little bits and bobs and linking up everything and making the graphics for everything. But that's my next thing.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank
Olivia.
You so much. Detective Bart, Sleuth Bart, has all the highlights and the deets. You got a lot out of me. Definitely, we should do a part 2 sometime. You just have me on back, and we'll.
Oh, I would love to have you back. You have definitely the best type of energy, guys. I've been Bart. It's been the More Life Podcast. Peace out.